Love, we've been told, it's a surrender of the soul, a spiritual connection, that it's pure, selfless, and that women are these elevated beings, delicate and morally superior. But what if all of this is just an illusion carefully constructed to keep you blind to the uncomfortable reality beneath the surface? What if I told you that love is not what you've been taught to believe? We've been sold a fantasy that romanticizes love and femininity, portraying women as the embodiment of purity and tenderness. But what if I told you that these ideals serve only to blind you to the truth? Friedrich Nietzsche didn't hate women, he understood them. He saw them through a lens, unclouded by Christian morality or sentimental notions of romance. What he saw was not weakness, nor innocence, nor moral superiority. Instead, he saw power. Women, Nietzsche believed, are strategists, power in its purest form, disguised as vulnerability. And you? You're the useful fool who still believes that tenderness equals weakness. Since childhood, we've been taught to idealize, to project our needs and desires onto others. But Nietzsche warned us, what we project onto others distances us from the truth. You don't love a woman, you love the idea of what you think she is. You love what you need her to be. But the truth? The woman is instinct. She's survival. She's calculation, not from hatred, but from necessity. A necessity born from a world that has constantly excluded her from visible power. So she adapted. She learned to dominate from the shadows. While you seek understanding, she analyzes your cracks. While you dream of soulmates, she calculates how far she can influence you without you even noticing. Not because she's manipulative by nature, but because she's been pushed into the realm of invisible power. Nietzsche was clear. The most effective power is the kind that isn't seen. It's the power that operates in silence, that moves without touching. Love, he argued, is not some harmonious dance of souls. It's a veiled war, a struggle for dominance disguised as passion, a struggle of wills, camouflaged as romance. And the one who doesn't see it, they lose. Does this sound dark to you? Perhaps, but it's real. And that's what Nietzsche demands from us. Stop idealizing, stop moralizing, stop hiding behind ethical masks. Love is not pure. Love is an evolutionary strategy. It is desire. It is ego. It is need. Does that make it bad? Number. It makes it human. And humanity is always ambivalent. Nietzsche didn't despise women. What he despised was the caricature men had created of them, the image of the pure muse, the lady who waits, the angelic figure who redeems man. He saw that for what it was, a farce. And the worst part is, many would rather believe in that farce than face the truth. Because the truth is uncomfortable. It requires us to accept that women too have desires, that they struggle, and that they use power in their own way. The supposed feminine morality, the ethical superiority that's so often celebrated, isn't virtue. It's survival. It's a strategic adaptation to centuries of exclusion. Unable to dominate the outside world, women learn to dominate the inner world of others, not through brute force, but through influence, psychological power, relational control. Nietzsche saw this with a frightening clarity. So where do you fit in all of this? Who are you in this covert war? Are you the romantic who gives without condition, or are you the one who dares to look beyond the veil? Because the truth is, if you don't see the game, you're already part of it. If you think love is a refuge, you don't understand that it's also a battlefield. Nietzsche said that women are not inferior. They are simply different. They've developed different weapons because the history forced them to. where a man raises his voice, a woman whispers. Where a man demands, a woman influences. And in that contrast, she has perfected a type of power that doesn't need to be recognized to be effective. You still believe love can do everything. But she knows the truth. Love is just another tool. Love, sometimes a weapon, sometimes a shield, but always functional. While you declare your love as a form of redemption, she calculates it as an investment. There's surrender, yes, but it's conditional. There's tenderness, yes, but it's strategic. And that doesn't make her cold, it makes her lucid. Are you uncomfortable yet? Good. Because that is the purpose of this truth. Nietzsche did not write to console you. He wrote to break you, to remove the bandages one by one. Because only then will you be able to rebuild yourself from reality, not from fantasy. And the reality is this: love between genders is rotting with projections. The man sees in the woman what he wants to be. The woman sees in the man what she needs to control. Both approach disguised in masks of desire, tenderness, and promises, but what they're really looking for is influence, control, and emotional territory. Nietzsche doesn't propose hatred, he proposes lucidity. He asks us to look with naked eyes, without adornments. He asks us to stop being emotional children and start understanding that every human relationship has a component of power. The morality we attribute to one gender is simply an adaptation. Tenderness can be a form of control. Love can be a low-intensity war. And if you're not willing to see this, then you'll continue living in a golden cage, believing you are loved when, in reality, you are useful. You'll think you give, but in truth, you give away your power. You'll convince yourself that you choose when, in fact, you are being chosen. The future of relationships is not in romanticizing them further. It's in stripping them bare, in accepting that real equality won't come from idealization, but from understanding, from seeing the other as they are, not as they should be. Nietzsche tells us, stop looking for angels, start seeing human beings, yes, with their light, but also with their shadows. And in that vision without illusions, true freedom begins. The greatest enemy of love is not hatred, it's the lie. Current love, the love you see in movies, on social media, in motivational phrases, is full of sweet lies. Nietzsche wants you to rip those lies out by the roots, because as long as you keep believing that she is better than you by nature, you will keep giving up power. And as long as she believes you are her emotional savior, she will keep playing a role that doesn't belong to her. Do you want a love for real? Then start by stopping the need. Because the one who needs surrenders without conditions, and the one who surrenders without conditions loses influence. And the one who loses influence becomes an emotional slave. Nietzsche doesn't want that for you. He wants you to be free, to love from the truth, not from fantasy. When both partners know what they're really looking for, that's when relationships can thrive. The day you understand this, you'll stop asking yourself why they abandoned you, why they manipulated you, or why they broke you. Instead, you'll ask, why did I want to believe a lie? What part of me needed to idealize the other to avoid facing myself? That's the real revolution, not in changing the other, but in changing the way you look at them. If you start seeing the woman as an autonomous, instinctive, strategic being, you'll no longer need to put her on a pedestal or destroy her. You'll just understand her. And for Nietzsche, that is the beginning of true respect. It's not hatred, it's clarity. It's not misogyny, it's demystification. And in that process, maybe, just maybe, we can begin to build something real, something that doesn't depend on masks, roles, or projections, something that comes from the brutal recognition of what we are and what we can still become. Are you willing to look without filters, or would you rather keep loving an illusion? The hidden war of emotional power. Now let's take this further. What if the structure of emotional power between men and women isn't just a historical consequence, but a deeper manifestation of the will to power that Nietzsche described? It's not just about how the genders relate, it's about something more underground, more visceral. The unconscious drive to dominate, to influence, to not be dominated. The fascinating and disturbing thing is this struggle for emotional control isn't on the surface, it's in the unconscious, and that makes it an invisible theater. You think you choose, you believe you decide, but in reality, you are reacting to impulses you haven't questioned, impulses you've inherited, internalized, and don't even recognize as your own. And this is where Nietzsche hits us hardest. There is no freedom without brutal self-knowledge. Ask yourself, are you really attracted to who you're attracted to, or are you simply attracted to who knows how to play with your insecurity better? Who is more desirable? The one who gives herself without reservations, or the one who pulls away just when you need her most? Why do you confuse emotional intensity with genuine love? Because deep down, you're not looking to love, you're looking to reaffirm yourself through the other. This is where relational narcissism comes into play. You're not looking to love the other for who they are. You're looking for a mirror that reflects the idealized image you have of yourself. And what role do women play in this game? The same as men. Mirrors, validators, symbols, not people. Nietzsche, without directly using the term, already understood this dysfunction. The other becomes a tool for self-affirmation, and love ceases to be an encounter. It becomes self-deception. Do you realize there's no possible equality when both enter a relationship with a hidden agenda? Everyone has one. The man seeks to feel power, to feel needed, to feel that he leads. The woman, according to Nietzsche, has learned to capitalize on that desire, shaping it, guiding it, without him even noticing. Not because she's manipulative, but because she has been trained by centuries of exclusion to survive this way. You think you're conquering when, in reality, you're being guided. You're an actor who believes he writes his script, but you're only performing a play written long before you were born. What if this silent war is the cause of so much modern love suffering? What if the problem isn't that we don't understand each other, but that we don't want to? Because accepting that the other doesn't come to complete you, but to challenge you, requires maturity. The childish love Nietzsche spoke of doesn't want maturity. It wants protection. It wants salvation. It wants fiction. They taught you that love will cure you, that it will complete you, that it will elevate you. But Nietzsche mocks that idea because as long as you seek redemption in the other, you have not understood anything. The other is not your savior. The other is a mirror, and sometimes a broken mirror. Do you have the courage to look there? Because that's the great test. To look at the other without filters is to look at yourself without excuses. And that is terrifying. That's why you idealize. That's why you build the fantasy of the angelic woman, the one who will never betray you, who will always understand you, who won't play with your emotions, because you're not ready to accept that you also play, that you also manipulate, that you also seek power, whether you admit it or not. True love, if such a thing exists, does not begin with desire. It begins with the truth of who you are, the truth of who she is, and with the courage to not need to adorn it. But that truth involves losing something. It involves ceasing to be the hero of your own romantic movie. It involves accepting that you are not the center of everything. You are not indispensable. You are not wiser for being a man, nor purer for suffering. And here's another theme Nietzsche hinted at with brutal elegance: emotional revenge. That silent force that moves many relationships. How many times have you loved just to get back at your own loneliness? How many times have you sought someone just to not feel less than? How many times have you desired, not because the other attracts you, but because their validation would give you value? Nietzsche understood this. Love doesn't always come from love. Sometimes it comes from resentment. Resentment against the world, against your childhood, against your sense of inadequacy. And instead of healing, you project. You become an actor in an emotional revenge you don't even realize you're executing. Do you know who is the most frequent target of that revenge? The woman. Because she represents what you fear the most. The possibility that she doesn't need you. The possibility that she can choose not to love you, not to depend on you. Nietzsche knew that many men don't seek to love a woman. They seek to domesticate her autonomy. They don't want a companion. They want a validation that breathes. This is the most dangerous kind of love, when it becomes a tool to control the other's freedom, to make sure they don't escape, that they don't rise, that they don't grow beyond you. Because if they do, what is left of your power? And still, the other remains free. She remains opaque. She remains a universe you cannot dominate completely, and that hurts because you wanted security, not truth. You wanted certainty, not mystery. You wanted control, not mutual freedom. But Nietzsche doesn't let you choose comfort. He throws you into discomfort. He forces you to admit that many times you do not love the other for who they are. You love them for how they make you feel about yourself. And that is not love. That is disguised need. Do you see what's behind the veil? It's not cruelty. It's complexity. It's not evil. It's the will to power. And that will doesn't distinguish gender. Both have it, both use it. Sometimes with tenderness, sometimes with cruelty, sometimes unknowingly. And that is what makes love so profoundly human and so dangerous. So the next time you feel like a victim in a relationship, ask yourself, were you really deceived? Or did you prefer not to see? Were you really manipulated? Or did you let yourself be manipulated so you didn't have to face your emptiness? Did she really play with you? Or was your need the one that created the perfect stage for you to be dominated? Because in the end, Nietzsche isn't telling you not to love. He's telling you to wake up, to not give your soul in exchange for a smile, to not confuse affection with submission, to not think the other comes to complete you when you haven't even faced yourself. Love is not redemption. It is a mirror. And if you don't like what you see there, it's not the other's fault. It's your task, your battlefield, your philosophy, and its living flesh. Do you still want to love? Or do you just want to escape from yourself? The real question, what's left when illusions are gone? So what do you have left when they tear away all the illusions? What do you have left when you look at the emotional mirror and can no longer lie to yourself? You have what has always been there, you. Not the you designed to fit in. Not the you they loved for convenience. Not the you who kneeled for fear of losing. but the you who stood tall after everything else collapsed. And there is where the truly interesting part begins. If you no longer need to be loved to feel valid, if you no longer seek redemption in the other, if you no longer accept the games you once confused with love, then finally, you are ready to love without losing yourself. Not from the desire to possess, not from the anxiety to be accepted, but from the lucid choice to share your freedom with another. And that, my friend, is a silent revolution. One that you won't see in movies or hear in songs, because real love makes no noise. It doesn't need to be proclaimed. It's not dependent on likes or demonstrations. Real love is like a tectonic force, invisible on the outside, but capable of moving continents from the inside. And to get there, you first have to cross the desert. The desert where Nietzsche wants you to get lost. Because only there do the foreign voices fade. Only there do the masks break. Only there, in that unbearable emptiness, do you find something that neither power nor approval can give you. Truth. And I warn you, when you get there, you can't go back. Because once you see, you can't stop seeing. Once you understand how the game works, you can't play it the same way anymore. You can no longer look at someone and think, love is innocent. You can no longer settle for the emotional comfort of ignorance. But that is not sadness. That is power. Because now you can choose, not react, not beg, not fear. Choose, with full awareness of what you are giving and what you are willing to never negotiate. Because love, in its highest form, is not blind surrender. It is an alliance between two awakened beings. So if you've come this far, if you're still listening, if something inside you has started to crack, congratulations. You're leaving the theater. You're seeing the strings that move the puppets. And now, you have an option that very few have. Stop acting and start living. And now, I invite you to do something more radical than any declaration of love. Subscribe, if you dare, to keep seeing the truth without filters. Because this channel is not here to entertain you. It's here to destroy you, and then help you rebuild yourself stronger. Leave me a phrase in the comments, just one. Truth doesn't need applause. If you got this far, I want to know, because those who watch until the end are the ones who no longer want stories. They want philosophical weapons. Thank you for looking with open eyes. See you in the next video. Or not. Perhaps we'll just cross paths at some point in consciousness where masks no longer work and only the gaze remains. And remember, the most dangerous whispers don't come from others. They come from yourself, just before going back to sleep. Good night. Or better yet, good awakenings.